Hello everyone. Today we'll start with the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, part 1, which is the speaker. We'll have 3 parts for this chapter as it's a lengthy chapter. So in today's video we'll cover the speaker, which is Shri Krishna. In next video we'll cover the listener and then the circumstance. So the Bhagavad Gita, as we know, it ranks the first amongst the world's scriptures. The knowledge that has been briefly explained in the Gita is the highest and the most secret knowledge. The law of right living, dharma, propounded in the Gita includes in its scope and is the basis of all other laws of right living. The way of works shown in the Gita is the eternal path for the world's march to the heights. So इसमें क्या कह रहे हैं कि जो गीता है वो जितने भी वर्ल्ड के स्क्रिप्चर्स हैं, जितने भी टेक्स्ट हैं, उसमें सबसे फर्स्ट रैंक करती है गीता, भगवद गीता. सो द गीता इज़ कंसिडर्ड वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट रिलीजियस एंड फिलोसॉफिकल बुक्स इन द वर्ल्ड. द गीता इज़ रिस्पेक्टेड फॉर इट्स यूनिवर्सल टीचिंग्स. व्हाट डज गीता टीच? क्या पढ़ाती है हमें गीता? गीता अगर आप पढ़ोगे तो उसमें यू लर्न अबाउट मॉरल वैल्यूज़, ड्यूटी एंड स्पिरिचुअलिटी. So next important lines, I've underlined all the important lines, I've underlined them so you can just see it. The law of right living, dharma. So the law of right living, dharma. What is dharma? Dharma is duty, righteousness, moral responsibility, right way of living. So what is your dharma as a student? To study, to gain knowledge. And what is the dharma of teachers? To teach, to give knowledge. So that's dharma. The Gita is like a bottomless sea. So this will come in the next paragraph. The Gita is like a bottomless sea, the source of a myriad gems. One may spend a whole lifetime fathoming its depths and still not touch its bottom or gauge how deep it is. So क्या बता रहे हैं इसमें कि गीता is like a bottomless sea. तो कोई भी sea होती है, river होता है, उसका bottom होता है. बॉटम किस चीज़ का आ गया, उसका मतलब उसका एंड आ गया. जो सी का बॉटम होता है वो मतलब वो सी का एंड है. लेकिन गीता इज़ अ बॉटमलेस सी. इट्स अ मेटाफर फॉर गीता. व्हाट इज़ अ मेटाफर? मेटाफर इज़ अ पोएटिक डिवाइस विच इज़ यूज्ड टू सिम्बलाइज समथिंग व्हेन वी आर यूजिंग समथिंग एल्स बट सिम्बलाइजिंग समथिंग एल्स. सो बॉटमलेस सी यहाँ पे इसका मतलब लिटरली बॉटमलेस सी नहीं है. इसका मतलब है कि गीता हैज़ एंडलेस नॉलेज, एंडलेस विजडम. इट्स अ बॉटमलेस सी. सी जिसका कोई बॉटम नहीं है, मतलब सी जो कभी एंड नहीं होती बेसिकली. सो इट हैज़ एंडलेस नॉलेज. गीता इज़ लाइक अ बॉटम सी, मीनिंग द नॉलेज ऑफ द गीता इज़ एंडलेस एंड वेरी डीप. नो मैटर हाउ मच समवन स्टडीज इट, देयर इज़ ऑलवेज समथिंग न्यू टू लर्न. What is myriad? Myriad gems. It's a source of myriad gems. Myriad gems meaning myriad is very large number. So it is the source of very large number of gems or knowledge. Fathoming meaning a whole lifetime fathoming its depth. Fathoming means to deeply understand or comprehend something. So to deeply understand, comprehend something, I've written the meaning here as well. So हम अपनी पूरी ज़िंदगी we'll spend our whole life but still we'll not understand the deeper meaning of the Gita. Deeply understand. So one may spend a whole lifetime fathoming its depth and still not touch its bottom. मतलब we'll spend our whole life, हम पूरी अपनी ज़िंदगी spend कर लेंगे, फिर भी will not be able to touch its bottom, the endless knowledge, or gauge how deep it is. One may search for 100 years and still find it difficult to gather even 100th part of the riches contained in this endless storehouse of gems. And yet, if one can recover even one or two of these gems, the poor man may become rich, the deep thinker acquire wisdom, the hater of God becomes a devotee, the mighty and powerful hero of action come back to his field of work fully equipped and ready to achieve his life's purpose. मतलब क्या है कि हम हज़ारों साल, 100 साल हम spend कर लेंगे, still we'll find it difficult to gather even 100th part of the riches contained in this endless storehouse of gems. So these are some words I've underlined, like storehouse of gems, bottomless sea, myriad gems. Gita ranks among the first among the world scriptures. So you can use this in your exams. Okay, so here's written a line that the poor man may become rich if we recover even one or two of these gems. मतलब गीता में बहुत सारे वो हैं, वर्सेस हैं, श्लोक्स हैं, अध्याय हैं। आप उसमें से एक अध्याय भी अच्छे से समझ लें, एक श्लोक भी आप अच्छे से समझ लें, उसकी मीनिंग, उसका जो अर्थ है वो आप अपनी ज़िंदगी में उतार लें, तो इवन द पुअर मैन में बिकम रिच। मतलब जो poor man here does not symbolize really a poor man, but the condition, the mindset of a person. So even the person with a very rigid mindset, with no self-esteem, can achieve great. So the Gita can transform a person's life. This is what it implies. It can person's life give wisdom to thinkers, make angry people peaceful, inspire people to work positively, help people become spiritually strong. So this is telling us about the power of the Bhagavad Gita. So come back to his field of work fully equipped and ready to achieve his life's purpose. Equipped meaning filled. So I hope you understand this. The Gita is an inexhaustible mine of jewels. Even if jewels are gathered from this mine for ages, coming generations will always be delighted and astonished by their acquisitions of new and priceless ones. See, this page, this whole page of the introduction to Gita before the speaker is really important. It has so many good lines and phrases. Like here it's written, the Gita is an inexhaustible mine of jewels. What is inexhaustible? Inexhaustible मतलब कि जो कभी भी ख़त्म नहीं होता है. I told you this in while I was teaching you, I think resources something. I told you, I think sustainable development, I don't remember. So I was teaching you inexhaustible and exhaustible resources. एग्जॉस्टिबल मतलब जो ख़त्म हो जाते हैं, जो लिमिटेड हैं. इनएग्जॉस्टिबल मतलब जो कभी ख़त्म नहीं होते हैं अगर हम उन्हें वाइजली यूज़ करें तो. सो गीता इज़ एन इनएग्जॉस्टिबल माइन ऑफ ज्वेल्स. मतलब अगर हम ज्वेल्स हम निकालते रहें, कभी भी जो गीता का जो हमें नॉलेज मिलती है, गीता से ज्ञान मिलता है, वो कभी ख़त्म नहीं होगा. सो इट्स एन इनएग्जॉस्टिबल माइन ऑफ ज्वेल्स. Even if jewels are gathered from this mines for ages, हम सालों तक इस माइन से jewels gather करते रहें, coming generations will always be delighted and astonished by the acquisition of new and priceless one. मतलब जो आगे generations आएंगी उनको इतनी new knowledge मिलेगी कि they will be astonished, they will be delighted with the new and priceless knowledge. Such is this book, replete with deep and occult lore, and yet the language is perfectly clear. The style is simple, the surface meaning is easily grasped. Simply by gliding along the surface of this bottomless sea without taking a deep plunge, there is a certain gain in strength and joy by taking a walk around the periphery of this mine. So, such a book, replete meaning filled with deep and occult. Occult is like connected to magic, secret beyond human understanding. It's occult. So, hidden spiritual knowledge. So, this book is filled with deep spiritual knowledge. Lore is like legendary, a legend or mythology, lore. And yet the language is perfectly clear. मतलब जो ये book है, it's filled with deep knowledge, life lessons, but जो language है वो बहुत ही clear है कि कोई भी पढ़ेगा उसे समझ आ जाएगी. The style is simple, surface meaning is easily grasped. Simply by gliding along the surface of this bottomless sea without taking a deep plunge. मतलब deep plunge is like a jump or a dive. There is certain gain in strength and joy by taking a walk around the periphery of mind. Periphery is like outside the boundary. If we look outside the Gita, also we can use these lessons in our daily life. So Gita is considered one of the greatest spiritual and philosophical books in the world. It teaches dharma, or the right way of living, and guides people towards moral values, wisdom, discipline, and selfless action. The author compares the Gita to a bottomless sea. I already explained to you why bottomless sea is a metaphor, meaning it has endless knowledge. And inexhaustible mine of jewels. You can use these two lines. Inexhaustible mine of jewels because its knowledge is endless and valuable. Even after studying it for years, people continue discovering new meanings and lessons. The teachings of the Gita help individuals develop peace of mind, confidence, and clarity in life. Its language is simple, but its ideas are deep and meaningful. The Gita remains relevant even today because it teaches people how to handle difficulties, responsibilities, and ethical decisions. Meaning, अगर हम गीता को if we'll read it once, twice, हम जितनी बार पढ़ेंगे हमें हमेशा एक न्यू नॉलेज मिलेगी, न्यू मीनिंग मिलेगी, न्यू लेसन मिलेगा. जितनी बार गीता को पढ़ लो, हर अलग इंसान का गीता का अलग इंटरप्रिटेशन होता है, सबका सेम नहीं होता है. सो वी कैन रीड इट 1000 times, but we'll gain new knowledge every time we read it. So, without entering deep recesses illuminated with jewels, still there can be found strewn among the grass bright jewels which will keep us rich throughout life. Same meaning. The Gita may well have 1,000 commentaries. Okay, here meaning कि गीता के 1,000 interpretations हो सकते हैं. But a time will never come with a new one will not be needed. तो मतलब ऐसा कभी ऐसा होगा ही नहीं कि हमें न्यू इंटरप्रिटेशन नहीं चाहिए होगी, हमेशा उसकी न्यू मीनिंग निकलेगी. इट्स ट्रू बिकॉज गीता इज इट्स इनएग्जॉस्टिबल रिसोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज, सोर्स ऑफ knowledge. There's no world-renowned scholar or man of deep knowledge can write a commentary on the Gita upon reading which we can say this is enough. It will no longer be necessary to add another commentary. Everything has been grasped. तो मतलब गीता को कभी भी आप एक बार में पूरा उसका नॉलेज नहीं निकाल सकते हो. जितनी बार आप पढ़ोगे उतनी बार आपको नहीं नॉलेज मिलेगी ही मिलेगी. After expending all our intellectual power, we can hope to understand and explain only a few facets of this knowledge. After being engrossed in yoga or rising from heights to greater heights on the way of desireless work, after we shall be able to say is that we have experienced some of its truths or have applied in the course of this life one or two of its teaching in the actual practice, to elucidate as an aid to others whatever little the present writer has realized in experience, whatever little he has practiced in the way of works, whatever meaning he has found by reasoning and thought based on that experience and practice, this will be the aim of these essays. So इसमें क्या बोल रहे हैं कि the passage explains that the wisdom of the Gita is so vast that even a small understanding of it can improve a person's life. गीता में इतनी knowledge है, इतना wisdom है कि sorry कि even a small understanding of it, अगर आप उसका थोड़ा सा भी lesson आप सीख लो, it can improve your life. The teachings of the Gita are compared to precious jewels spread everywhere. As I told you, inexhaustible source of jewels and bottomless sea. Meaning valuable lessons can be found even through simple reading. आप थोड़ा सा भी इसे पढ़ लोगे, surface level पे भी पढ़ोगे, तब भी आपको valuable knowledge मिलेगी. Deeper level पढ़ोगे तो मिलेगी obviously. The author says that countless commentaries can be written on the Gita. Countless commentaries is like मतलब meanings उसकी countless लिखी जा सकती हैं गीता की. Because no one can completely explain its full meaning. Every scholar understands and interprets it differently. हर scholar उसे अलग interpretation देता है, अलग तरीके से समझता है. According to their experience and knowledge, the Gita is not only meant for reading but also for practical application. As we know, Gita कैसे लिखी गई थी? It was spoken directly by Krishna to Arjun during the Mahabharata war. When he felt helpless, he was not able to decide. श्री कृष्ण उन्होंने उन्हें समझाया था गीता, ये जो सारे श्लोक्स लिखे हैं. सो गीता इज़ नॉट ओनली मेंट फॉर रीडिंग, पढ़ने के लिए नहीं है. इट इज़ फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. इट्स फॉर, एज आई टोल्ड यू ना, एनालिटिकल रीडिंग. You have to understand it, you have to comprehend the meaning, you have to apply it in your life. So the Gita is not only meant for reading but also for practical application in life through yoga, selfless action and discipline. The writer humbly explains that these essays are based on his own understanding, experience and practice of the teachings of Gita. So small author क्या कह रहे हैं कि सबकी अलग इंटरप्रिटेशन होती है, मेरी एक अलग इंटरप्रिटेशन है गीता की. So it's his personal interpretation. If you will read it, you will get some other interpretation. So this is the introduction to the Gita. So this is really, really important. You can read it once, and I've underlined all the important lines you can use. Now we'll start with the speaker, which is Shri Krishna. So the speaker, in order to understand the meaning and object of the Gita, it is first necessary to consider the speaker, the listener and the circumstance. The speaker is Lord Krishna, the listener is his friend Arjun and the most heroic of men. The circumstance is the prelude to the terrible slaughter of Kurukshetra. Slaughter means killing. So circumstance क्या है? कुरुक्षेत्र का जो terrible killing हुई वो circumstance था. listener था अर्जुन और speaker थे Lord Krishna. There are many who say that the Mahabharata is only a symbol. Shri Krishna is a god, Arjuna is the human, and the sons of Dhritarashtra are the inner enemies of the soul's progress. And the Pandav army represent the forces that help bring about the liberation. But this is to relegate the Mahabharata to a low position in the world of letters, and at the same time to minimize and bring to not the deep seriousness of the Gita, its utility for the life of the man of action and its high teachings which hastens the progress of mankind. बेसिकली इसमें क्या बता रहे हैं हमें कि द स्पीकर ऑफ द गीता इज लॉर्ड कृष्ण हु गाइड्स अर्जुन ड्यूरिंग अ मोमेंट ऑफ कन्फ्यूजन। अर्जुन वॉर के में कन्फ्यूज हो गए थे, उन्हें समझ नहीं आता कि वो क्या करे, तो उस टाइम पे श्री कृष्ण ने उन्हें गाइड किया। और श्लोक जो सारे आप पढ़ोगे, गीता आपने पढ़ी कभी तो श्लोक उसमें लिखे हैं, वो डायरेक्टली श्री कृष्ण ने अर्जुन को बोले थे। And moral conflict before the war. Arjun, the listener, represents a human being facing fear, doubt, and responsibility in his life. The battlefield of Kurukshetra symbolizes a real life situation where people must take difficult moral and ethical decisions. So it's important that we decide whenever we're facing problem. Some people interpret the Mahabharata symbolically. जो उसमें लिखा है ना कि some people think that Mahabharata is only a symbol. So some people interpret Mahabharata symbolically, where Krishna represents God, Arjun represents the human soul, and the Kauravas represent the evil qualities like anger, greed, and ego. But the author disagrees. यहाँ पे author क्या कह रहे हैं कि the war of Kurukshetra is not simply a frame for the Gita's picture. It is the prime motive and the best occasion for carrying out the law given in the Gita. To accept a symbolic meaning for the great war of Kurukshetra is to reduce the law of Gita to a law of ascetic quietism. Ascetic quietism मतलब कि of deep spiritual withdrawal and self-discipline, inapplicable to life in this world, not the law of heroic man or law to be followed in life. Shri Krishna is the speaker. The scriptures say that Shri Krishna is God himself. In the Gita too, Shri Krishna has proclaimed himself as God. So Gita में भी श्री कृष्ण अपने आप को गॉड की तरह प्रोक्लेम कर रहे हैं. It has there been declared on the basis of the avatar doctrine in the 4th chapter and the theory of the Vibhuti on the 10th that God dwells hidden in the bodies of all creatures. So श्री कृष्ण ने बहुत अवतार ली था, आपको पता है. Shows himself to a certain extent through the manifestations of power in particular beings and is fully incarnated in the person of Shri Krishna. According to many, Shri Krishna, Arjun and Kurukshetra are mere metaphors. कुछ लोग समझते हैं कि श्री कृष्ण, अर्जुन, कुरुक्षेत्र वॉर metaphor, symbolic meaning. Metaphor is a poetic device which is used to symbolize something. So कुछ लोग सोचते हैं कि these three are mere symbols of something. And in order to recover the true meaning of the Gita, these metaphors are to be ignored. But we cannot reject this part of the teaching if the avatar doctrine is there. So avatar doctrine, we know that the avatar doctrine means God takes birth in human form to protect righteousness and guide humanity. Shri Krishna is considered an avatar of Lord Vishnu. We have known that Shri Krishna is the avatar of Vishnu. Shri Krishna has taken a lot of avatars, 10 I think. Matsya, पहले मत्स्य लिया था, फिर कूर्म, फिर वराह, नरसिम्हा, वामना, परशुराम, राम, फिर कृष्ण, फिर कालकी भी आएगा आदि कलयुग में. तो हर युग में अलग अलग उन्हें अवतार लिए थे इन द ह्यूमन फॉर्म. सो इसमें क्या बता रहे हैं कि सम पीपल इंटरप्रेट द महाभारत सिम्बॉलिकली, where Krishna represents God, Arjun represents the human, the Kauravas represent the greediness, the evil qualities, the enemies of the Pandavas. The author disagrees with treating the entire war only as a metaphor because the Gita is meant to guide people in practical life and action, not only spiritual withdrawal. मतलब author इस बात से disagree करता है कि Gita is merely a metaphor. It was made, we cannot say, but it is used, it's meant to guide people in the practical life, in the daily life. The law of the heroic man means the Gita supports courage, duty, and action instead of escaping from responsibility. Vibhuti refers to the divine powers and special manifestations of God present in great personality and extraordinary qualities. So this passage highlights that the teachings of the Gita are relevant for real human struggle, ethical dilemmas, leaderships, and decision making even in modern life. It's not merely a symbol, it is meant to guide people in their everyday life. You have to understand the three symbols of Shri Krishna as the speaker, the Arjun as the human soul, and the Kauravas as the evil qualities and enemies of Pandavas. Why should Shri Krishna be ignored? Therefore, it is God himself who is the propounder of this knowledge and the teaching. Shri Krishna is an avatar. He has accepted in human form the law of man's body and mind and spirit and has played his game, Leela, accordingly. If we can grasp both the obvious and the occult meaning of that play, we shall be able to grasp the meaning, the aim, and the method of this world game. The main feature of this great game is action impelled by total knowledge. The knowledge underlying that action and that play has been revealed in this Gita. Shri Krishna of the Mahabharata is the hero of action, a great yogin, a great man of the world, a founder of empire, a statesman, a warrior, a knower of Brahman in the body of the in a body of a Kshatriya. In his life, we can see in incomparable manifestations and mysterious play of the supreme power, the Mahasakti. Of that mystery, the Gita is an explanation. Shri Krishna is Lord of the world, universal Vasudeva. श्री कृष्णा में पता है वासुदेव है. वासुदेव का मतलब क्या होता है पता है? वासुदेव, वासु इज लाइक वेल्थ एंड ब्रिलियंस एंड देव इज गॉड. सो वासुदेव मीनिंग गॉड ऑफ एवरीथिंग और गॉड ऑफ brilliance, wealth. And yet, by shouting his greatness, he has entered into play by establishing with the men relations like those of father and son, brother and husband, intimate associate and friend and enemy. In his life is implied the supreme secret of the Aryan knowledge and the highest meaning of the way of devotion. Their essential principles are also part of the Gita's teaching. Shri Krishna's incarnation occurs at the juncture of the Dwapar and the Kali Yugs. In each of the revolutionary cycles, kalpas, God incarnates in full at such junctures. So इसमें क्या बताया हमें कि महाभारत कब हुई थी? महाभारत हुई थी at the end of द्वापर युग and at मतलब just starting of कलयुग के हुई, मतलब starting of कलयुग के नहीं, end of द्वापर युग के, जब कलयुग start होने वाला था उसके end में एकदम हुई थी. So दिस पैसेज क्या, इसमें क्या एक्सप्लेन करा जा रहा है कि जो श्री कृष्ण है, ही इज़ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग द भगवद गीता. वाई शुड ही बी इग्नोर्ड? स्टार्ट इस लाइन से हो रहा है ना पैसेज. वाई शुड कृष्णा बी इग्नोर्ड? इन द हिंदू माइथोलॉजी, लॉर्ड कृष्णा इज बिलीव टू बी द 8th अवतार ऑफ लॉर्ड विष्णु. मैंने आपको 7 अवतार बता दिए. सो लॉर्ड कृष्ण क्या थे? 8th अवतार थे. पहला मत्स्य, कूर्म, फिर वराह, नरसिम्हा, वामना, परशुराम, राम और फिर कृष्ण. 8वें अवतार थे लॉर्ड कृष्ण विष्णु के. हु टुक बर्थ टू डिस्ट्रॉय ईवल एंड प्रोटेक्ट धर्म. सो उन्होंने बर्थ ही क्यों लिया था? टू डिस्ट्रॉय ईवल एंड प्रोटेक्ट धर्म. द गीता, क्योंकि उनको इससे क्या बेनिफिट मिल रहा था श्री कृष्ण को? अगर उन्होंने पांडव का साथ दिया, उन्होंने सच्चाई का साथ दिया, पांडव का नहीं, ना पांडव का दिया ना कौरव को दिया, उन्होंने सच्चाई का साथ दिया. उन्हें इससे कुछ बेनिफिट मिल रहा था क्या? वो कौरव का साथ देते, नहीं दिया उन्होंने पांडव का साथ दिया. कुछ बेनिफिट मिला? उन्हें कुछ बेनिफिट नहीं मिला. ही हैड नो बेनिफिट इन द victory of Pandavas, but still, why did he came to destroy evil? For the triumph of truth and to protect dharma. The Gita is spoken by Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. मैंने बताया ना आपको, डायरेक्टली श्री कृष्ण ने battlefield of कुरुक्षेत्र में अर्जुन को ये सब कुछ बोला था जो भी गीता में लिखा है. Before the war of the Mahabharata, कृष्णा क्या बताते हैं अर्जुन को? He teaches Arjun about duty, courage, selfless action, devotion and spiritual wisdom. The passage says Krishna was not only a divine figure but also a warrior, leader, strategist, friend and guide. लिखा है ना कि कृष्णा was also with establishing with men relations. लिखा है पैसेज में, like those of father, son, brother, husband. और यहाँ पे लिखा है he is a hero of action, a great yogi. I've underlined all the things. A great man, founder of empire, statesman. So कृष्णा के relations के बारे में बताया कि what he was. Okay, the passage says that Krishna was not only a divine figure but also a warrior, leader, strategist, friend, guide. His life shows that spirituality is not about escaping life but performing responsibilities with wisdom and righteousness. Avatar in Hindu mythology means God taking human form on earth to restore dharma and defeat evil forces. तो अवतार क्यों लेते थे गॉड? क्योंकि to protect dharma, to destroy these evil forces. Krishna is considered an avatar of Lord Vishnu. Krishna tells Arjun to fight the war because protecting dharma and justice is more important than personal fear and attachment. सो अर्जुन ने बोला था कि उसकी फैमिली है, वो जो भी हैं उनके कजन्स हैं, रिलेटिव्स हैं, उनके साथ हाउ कैन ही फाइट. बट देन कृष्णा एक्सप्लेन्स टू हिम ऑल द मॉरल एंड एथिकल डिलेमा जो भी उसको हो रहा था, जो अर्जुन को हो रहे थे. श्री कृष्णा एक्सप्लेन्स एवरीथिंग एंड ही टीचेस देम कि अगर इफ़ दे वर रियली हिज ओन कजन्स देन दे वुडंट फाइट. वो सामने नहीं होते अगर अपने होते तो. The passage explains that Krishna lived a normal human being as a son, friend, brother, king and guide. He was a god, but he lived a normal life, but also possessed divine wisdom and power. The Gita teaches that true spirituality is not leaving responsibilities behind, but performing duties honestly with courage, devotion and wisdom. गीता क्या बताती है हमें कि स्पिरिचुअलिटी क्या है? कि अपनी सारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज छोड़ दो. ये नहीं है स्पिरिचुअलिटी. कुछ लोग क्या बोलते हैं, स्पिरिचुअल बनने के चक्कर सब कुछ छोड़ देते हैं, अपना घर, रिलेशन सब कुछ छोड़ देते हैं, सब कुछ आपकी जो भी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है छोड़ देते हैं. But it's not about spirituality. It's not about leaving our responsibilities, escaping our responsibility. It's about performing them, performing our duties, whatever we are, you know, uh, whatever we have to perform. जो भी हमें करना है perform, हम अपनी duties honestly perform करें. It is what is the Gita is teaching us. So the next is, the Kali age is the worst as well as the best among the four epochs. This age is the reigning period of Kali, the impeller of sin and the principal enemy of man's progress. The utmost degradation and downfall of man occur during Kali's reign. But strength is gained by fighting against obstacles and new creations come to the destruction of the old. This process is seen at work at the Kali age too. The elements of evil that are going to be destroyed in the course of the world's evolution are precisely the ones that are eliminated through inordinate growth. On the other hand, seeds of new creations are sown, and when they sprout, these seeds become trees in the Satya age that follows. So इसमें क्या बता रहे हैं? This passage is telling us about the Kali Yuga, the Kali Yuga. 4 युग होते हैं, पता है आपको? तो उसमें कलयुग की बात कर रहे हैं. पहला क्या होता है? सतयुग, त्रेता, द्वापर, फिर कलयुग. So कलयुग हिंदू mythology में, history में, and how the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita help humanity during difficult times. According to Hindu belief, Kali Yuga is the age of conflict, moral decline, selfishness and suffering. तो आपको पता है इसमें कि जो भगवत गीता है, it gives helps humanity during difficult times. And Kali Yuga is believed to be the age of conflict and moral decline, selfishness. However, the passage also says that this age is important. Why? Because struggle and destruction create opportunities. जो struggle है, जो strength is यहाँ पे लिखा है ना, strength is gained by fighting against obstacles. And new creations comes through destruction of the old. So जो भी struggle है, destruction है, it creates opportunities for new growth and positive changes. So it's important as well. This age is also important. Evil increases before it is destroyed, and after darkness comes to the return of truth and righteousness. Lord Krishna gave the teaching of the Gita at the beginning of the Kali Yuga to guide humanity towards dharma and spiritual progress. So beginning of the Kali Yuga इसमें आपको थोड़ा सा टाइमलाइन का हो रहा होगा कि भगवत गीता सी एंड ऑफ द्वापर युग में हुई थी. सो स्टार्टिंग ऑफ कल युग सॉर्ट ऑफ आप बोल सकते हो, तब श्री कृष्ण ने ये सब दिए थे, ऑल दीज टीचिंग्स टू अर्जुन. सो beginning of the Kali Yuga to guide humanity towards dharma and spiritual progress. The Gita is presented as a guide for rebuilding truth, morality and balance in society. So it's a really, really nice book. It's about our history and whatever. It has lots of moral values and teachings. Everyone should read it, I think, but it's in Sanskrit. You can just look for the translation if you want, but if you know Sanskrit, it's really nice. You can just read it. So moreover, just as in astrology, all the planets enjoy their sub periods in the period of the particular planet. So astrology में होता है ना कि planet के sub periods होते हैं, बहुत astrology में होता है ना. So the period of Kali, each of the 4 ages, Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali, repeatedly enjoy sub period. तो इसमें जो periods होते हैं ये Kali, Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, इनमें भी इनके भी sub periods होते हैं. Through this cyclic movement, there is in the Kali age a great downfall followed by an upward trend, another great downfall and again an upward surge. These falls and rises serve the purpose of the God at the juncture of Dwapar and Kali Yuga. God, through his incarnation, allows an inordinate growth of evil, destroys the evil, sows the seed of good and prepares favorable conditions for their sprouting. So basically, God incarnation क्यों करते हैं? To destroy evil. हर युग में होती है. अभी कल युग में गौतम बुद्ध को बोलते हैं he was the incarnation of Vishnu, and अभी कल की भी आएगा जो भी that will be the again another avatar of Vishnu. So the total there will be 10 avatars, 8 हो गए हैं and 2 are in कलयुग्स. So इसमें क्या बता रहे हैं कि जो साइक्लिक मूवमेंट्स इन द काली युग, इसमें क्या होगा, ग्रेट डाउनफॉल होगा पहले, फिर से अपवर्ड ट्रेंड, फिर से ग्रेट डाउनफॉल, अपवर्ड ट्रेंड. और जो इनकारनेशन होगी गॉड की, इट विल बी टू डिस्ट्रॉय द इवल्स, sow the seeds of good and prepare favorable conditions for their sprouting. Then begins the period of Kali. Shri Krishna has left in the Gita the secret knowledge and the method of work that will be useful for bringing in the age of truth the Satyug. When the time comes for the Satyug sub-period of Kali, the worldwide propagation of the law of the Gita is inevitable, it's unavoidable. That time has now come. So it tells us about this passage, especially tells us about good out of bad. So the Kali age brings out the worst in humanity. However, just like clearing away the dead trees makes room for new plants. सारे जो भी dead trees होते हैं, we are clearing them. Why? To make space for new plants. This destruction in the Kali Yuga is needed to clear out evil. So new pure age Satyuga can begin. So आपको पता है cyclic चलते हैं ये सारे युग. अभी पहले सत्युग आया, फिर त्रेता आया, फिर द्वापर आया, फिर कलयुग आया, कलयुग के बाद फिर सत्युग आएगा. तो सत्युग आने के लिए ये ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन जो होगी, इसके लिए हैव टू फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल डिस्ट्रॉय ऑल द इवल, बिकॉज सत्युग में देयर इज नो इवल. त्रेता युग में द्वापर युग क्या इवल छोड़ के गया, कलयुग में द्वापर युग के एंड में जो भी वॉर हुआ बिटवीन रिलेटिव्स, इसके बाद कलयुग की स्टार्टिंग हुई. कलयुग में और होगा, फिर कलयुग एंड हो जाएगा, फिर सत्युग स्टार्ट होगा. सो सत्युग स्टार्ट होने के लिए वी हैव टू मेक clear the enemies, we have to clear all the bad evil. So जो भी destruction हो रही है, it's needed to clear out the evil so as to begin a new age. The Satyug can begin. So cycles, and this is the first thing, good out of bad. So this, it's bringing the worst in any worst, the Kali age. The Kali Yuga is bringing the worst in humanity, but it's important to make space for the new plants. To this clearing of evil is important to bring a new age. This is the first thing. Second is cycles within cycles. The main age of Kali Yuga has similar mini seasons of all other ages mixed into it. It has times of great decline followed by times of movement. So मतलब सारे seasons का जो भी सारे युग है उनका mix Kali Yuga में आता है सब कुछ. The Gita's purpose, Sri Krishna gave us the Gita to help us fight the darkness of Kali and prepare for the next golden age. You can explore its teaching further using the Gita platform. So Gita basically आप इसमें आपको मैं कितना समझाऊंगी. So आपको if you have time please do read Gita. It will teach you a lot. So Gita क्यों बनी थी? Because to help people fight this age of darkness. द्वापर युग के एंड में ही बनी है, कलयुग की स्टार्टिंग में ही बनी है टू, क्योंकि जब कलयुग में डार्कनेस आएगी टू फाइट दैट. So it's really important for us to read Gita because you know it will help us in our everyday life. Now come, and that is why the recognition of the Gita, instead of being confined to a few men of wisdom and learning, is spreading among the generality of men and in foreign land. Therefore it is मतलब जो गीता है वो spread कर रही है. It's not confined to a few men. पहले क्या होता था कि जो ये सेम्स होते थे, स्कॉलर्स होते थे, यही पढ़ते थे गीता, यही पढ़ते थे टेक्स्ट. कास्ट सिस्टम था द्वापर युग में भी, शूद्र विद्र को अलाउड नहीं होता था. तो लेकिन now it's not confined to men, सब पढ़ सकते हैं. Therefore it is not possible to distinguish Shri Krishna the speaker from his word. Shri Krishna is itself spoken the Gita. Shri Krishna is impaled to the Gita. Gita is Shri Krishna in his form of the word. This is a very good line you can use. Shri Krishna, Gita is Shri Krishna in his form of the word. So Gita is nothing but a form of Shri Krishna but in words. So this is a really important passage. It says that the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita are now spreading across the world because humanity needs its message even more than ever. The Gita was mainly studied by scholars and spiritually learned people. I told you it was previously studied by only scholars and saints. But now, ordinary people from all backgrounds and even foreign countries are recognizing its importance. Throughout the world, people are recognizing its importance. The passage says that Lord Krishna and the Gita cannot be separated. Both the things cannot be separated because the Gita contains Krishna's divine wisdom, teachings and guidance. Gita is nothing but the form of Shri Krishna in his words. Through the Gita, Krishna continues to guide humanity towards truth, duty, devotion and righteous living. The passage says that the teachings of the Gita are becoming popular worldwide because its message is relevant today. It's even more relevant today than in any age. Modern, because relevant for modern problems like stress, confusion, conflict and moral decline, ethical dilemmas. Earlier the Gita was mostly limited to saints, scholars and spiritual leaders, but today common people also study it for guidance in daily life. The Gita is Shri Krishna in his form of word. As I told you, this line is very important. It means that Gita is considered the direct expression of Krishna's divine knowledge. So it's basically the expression, it's the knowledge of Krishna. So it's really important for us to read it. We'll get so much knowledge you can just imagine. The Gita is not just a religious text but the living message of Shri Krishna that continues to inspire people towards dharma, selfless action, devotion and inner peace. So this passage is basically telling us that the message of Gita is even more relevant in the Kali Yuga than any other yuga, because it's really important for, see, the Kali Yuga brings the worst in humanity, but it's important to make room for new plants. In order to make room for new plants, it's important to clear the dead plants. It's important to clear the forest. So this destruction in the Kali Yuga is needed to clear out evil, so the new age, the Satyug, can begin, because ये सब जो युग होते हैं साइकिल में चलते हैं. So it's important. And the Gita's main purpose, Gita is nothing but Shri Krishna in his form of words. मतलब श्री कृष्णा खुद आके, you can just imagine, द्वापर युग के एंड में ही हुआ है, इतना कुछ नहीं कि बहुत युग पहले हुआ है, द्वापर युग के एंड में हुआ, कलयुग के स्टार्टिंग में ये सब कुछ हुआ है. So it's nothing but Gita is the form of Shri Krishna's knowledge. So you can just imagine how much wisdom it has. So this was all about the speaker. I'll just quickly revise everything. So the introduction is really important. You have to understand the lines that the law of right living dharma, it's a bottomless sea, it's a metaphor for endless knowledge, it's a mediate of gems, countless gems, storehouse of gems, and it can transform a person's life from poor can become rich, and it's an inexhaustible mine of jewels. It's really important. And then this passage told us that the wisdom of Gita is so vast that even a small understanding can improve a person's life, and there are different interpretations for the Gita, and each one is true. Even if we'll read it for 1,000 times, each time we'll get a new meaning and a new knowledge, life lesson. Then the speaker started that Gita is interpreted symbolically by some people. The Shri Krishna is symbolizing the speaker, Arjun symbolizing the human soul or the listener, and the Kurukshetra symbolizing the caller, symbolizing the evil qualities and enemies. But the author disagrees. He says this essay is the author's point of view. If you read it, you may get some other point of view. So he disagrees with the statement that the Mahabharata is merely literal. It's merely symbolic. He says that the entire war cannot be treated as only a metaphor, because Gita is meant to guide people in practical life. Then why should Krishna be ignored? Yes, this told us about that he lived a life in human form as a great man, a founder, different roles he lived. So Gita is important because Lord Krishna is believed to be the 8th avatar of Krishna, Lord Vishnu. I told you, Lord Krishna, 8th avatar. I told you all the avatars who took birth to destroy evil. And Krishna is considered the avatar of Lord Vishnu. He tells Arjun to fight the war because protecting dharma and justice is more important than personal fear attachment. Next is we learned about the Kali Yuga, that the age brings the worst in humanity, but it's important to clear all the bad, to make space for the new age, because all the ages work in cycle. And the last important line is that Gita is Shri Krishna in his form of words. So it's nothing but Gita is considered the direct expression of Krishna's divine knowledge. So it's important for us to read it to gain knowledge. This was all about the speaker. I have underlined all the important lines, and I have written the meaning as well, and summary of the whole page, the main idea. In the next video, we'll start with the listener, which is Arjun, and then the circumstance. So this was all about today's video. Thank you.